Welcome to the Vedanta Fest. This evening, select questions from the Dubai community will be presented to the world-renowned philosopher, Swami A. Parthasarathy. This event is under the patronage of His Excellency Sheikh Nahyan Mubarak Al Nahyan, Cabinet Member and Minister of Tolerance and Coexistence of the UAE. We request His Excellency Sheikh Nahyan to open the Vedanta Fest and welcome Swamiji.
My dear Swamiji, Brother Sadrai, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to have the honor of joining with everyone here tonight in welcoming the eminent philosopher, speaker, and author, the Go-Getter Guru, Swamiji. Welcome, my dear Swami. The United Arab Emirates has always been a global crossroads, visited by distinguished scholars and leaders who debated important issues of their time. Tonight, through the miracle of modern technology, we have the pleasure to add you to this distinguished list. You are a renowned global intellectual focusing on issues that are essential to having a productive and a rewarding life, and which provide hope and direction in these confusing times. We only wish that you were here with us in person. It's always a pleasure to be with you and see you, as well as we all continue to go through the COVID pandemic. I'm confident that your ideas and your teachings will help to sustain us and provide us with energy and resolve to persevere and thrive. Tonight's event is indeed a celebration of the intellect. Swamiji's presentation this evening is a reminder that we all must think, we must contemplate, we must deliberate, but we must also have the strength of mind to encounter the world outside ourselves. We must reveal our conclusions and advance our decisions. We must strive for thoughts that are original, innovative, and useful. And we must be willing to defend our thinking in the face of criticism and even contempt, scorn, rejection, or ridicule. Here in the United Arab Emirates, our greatest treasure is our people, their ability to think in depth, and their willingness to think openly and creatively on life's most important issues will ensure progress, happiness, and peaceful coexistence. We recognize that a spirit of tolerance is an essential requirement on the road to that goal. We know that reaching the full human potential in our society may elude us if different elements of our population are in conflict. If we ignore or marginalize or distrust one another, if we reject the spirit of tolerance as a gateway to understanding, if we do not engage people different from us with respect and search for understanding, any of these conditions can block our capacity to achieve our full human potential. We would be wise to prepare ourselves individually to avoid these obstacles. Your legendary countryman, Mahatma Gandhi, linked happiness and thinking when he said, and I quote, "Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony." Tonight, I expect that my dear Brother Swami Ji will help us find direction in linking these three important concepts together. Swamiji, dear Swamiji, I believe that you will be speaking tonight to an audience that is particularly receptive to your message, as I do. I expect that we will all be challenged and inspired by you. Thank you for sharing your life-changing ideas with us, ideas that I believe can have a major impact upon our relationships with our families, our friends, our communities, and our global society. Thank you for reaching out to us all.
Thank you to His Excellency. We now have a short video on the speaker. It's an attempt to convey a lifetime service to humanity.
Living is an art, a technique, a skill. But you've got to learn it and practice it. That's what the wisdom all about.
Highlights in my career is discovery of the knowledge. It's deeply embedded in the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and it took quite a while to understand what they're saying. And when I understood it, how practical it is and how important it is to live these principles in life, that was the highlights. I understood and I want to give it to the world. Schools and universities provide information, knowledge, which gives you intelligence. Vedanta Academy is the only academy in the world which provides you a way to develop the intellect.
Swami Parthasarathy is one of India's best-selling authors on Vedanta, an ancient school of Indian wisdom.
He says that he knows the secret to success in the life of harmony, something that we're all searching for amid the chaos of the markets.
You still play cricket, you still do yoga.
Swami Parthasarathy lectures globally on disciplines.
He's a mean spin bowler and even has advised the Indian cricket team.
With cricket, SportsCenter has tracked him down to discover what feeds his unwavering passion.
Mental health that creates physical fitness. Cricket is one of the few things that I do. I've been doing yoga and exercises which keeps you fit, but that will not bring about mental fitness. Mental fitness is only with the intellect. Intellect controls the mind, mind controls the body.
We welcome Swamiji to the screen. We begin with the first question.
Namaskar Swamiji. I've heard this phrase that one should not practice meditation, but one should be meditative. What are your thoughts on this, Swamiji?
Meditation is when intellect supervises the mind is chanting and the intellect is watching it. Then you are meditating. So you can't just mechanically repeat a word, symbol and call it meditation. So are you concentrating on the mind's activity? If the mind is chanting and the intellect is supervising, then you are practicing meditation. Being meditate should be that's being meditative. Practice merely repeating the words, whatever it could be, Om, 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 without the intellectual supervision is not meditation, is madness. You understand that? Dr. Puri.
I've heard a lot about this book, Vedanta Treatise, and I believe this is one of the finest works on the Vedanta. Would you like to share your story on writing this book?
See, I had these thoughts. Beyond the mind, beyond the intellect, beyond the lies the essential being. Now, what is that essential being? Through hard work and practice, I came in terms with the essential being. But to communicate to the world, to others, was a real problem. So I had to program this Vedanta treatise to be able to communicate this idea that you are not the body, not the mind, not the intellect, but the self. So I had to carefully introduce the concept first session, secondly explain this concept, thirdly delve into the subject. That's what I did in the Vedanta treatise.
Swamiji, a lot of people focus a lot on the physical aspects of yoga, the asanas. But I truly believe that yoga is far more profound than that. Would you like to say something about this?
Yoga, the word yoga in Sanskrit means to join, yuj. It is derived from the word yuj, means to join. So you are separated from the self. You know your body, you know your mind, you know your intellect, but you know not yourself. Dr. Puri. So, in order to get back to yourself, you have to do yoga. Yoga is getting back to yourself. The word yoga is derived from yuj, to join. You have separated from the self. To get back to the self is called yoga. If you use your body and actions to get back to yourself, it's called karma yoga. If you use your mind to get back to yourself, it's called bhakti yoga. If you use your intellect for the purpose, it's called jnana yoga. Whether it's karma yoga, bhakti yoga, or jnana yoga, which is nothing but the use of the body, mind and intellect, you are attempting to get back to your real self. That is called yoga. Today, yoga is practiced as asanas. Asanas is physical exercise. It will trim your body. It will not trim your mind and intellect. It's not possible. The gross cannot control the subtle. You must understand this. Physical exercise is gross. Mind is subtler. Intellect is still subtler. So you got to go beyond the mind and the intellect. So gross exercise cannot do that. So yoga is practiced at different levels. Like karma yoga, you act in such a way that you try to get back to yourself. You feel in such a way with the mind that you get back to the self. You think in a way that you want to get back to the self. So yoga is not just asanas. Asanas only gives you physical upbringing. You become more physically alert. That is about all. But if you want to get back to the self, it is also called yoga because it's joining yourself to the self. Okay?
Hari Om Swamiji, Pranam. My name is Ravindra Chamaria. I am calling from Dubai. My question is, what is the true giving and what is the highest form of charity? Hari Om.
Chamaria ji, true giving is when you give without any axe to grind. You don't expect anything, you don't want anything. You want to give. If a person, you make sure that the person deserves what you give. You can't finance a burglar. Or you got to make sure that where your money is going or whatever service you're rendering goes for a cause. Once you're convinced of that, you must give without any interest in return. Am I getting name or fame? Am I getting his or her returns in some way? They are grateful and they will cater to me later on. No interest whatsoever. Just give. Your left hand should not know what your right hand is giving. That sort of a giving is the highest form of charity. But the moment you have motives, any form of interest in giving, it could be material, it could be a satisfaction, it could be intellectual. Whatever you get out of giving is not giving. But you must not, you may get it, but you are not giving it for getting it. So, true form of giving is when you do not have any interest in the receipts. You just give and give. That's about all. Okay?
Hi Swamiji. In an age of increasing divorce, you have been married to the same woman for 65 years. What is your secret to making relationships work?
The secret in a marital relationship is the moment you're married, or even before you're married, you must think in terms of what can I do to the other person?
it is service, it is sacrifice. Today, life has become, what do they call it, prenuptial agreement. You want something from the wife. When you don't want anything, you want to just serve her, make her life better, as good as possible. So you must understand that the lady has come from a house, she has lived 20 years in a house and in a totally different environment. You must recognize that, you must understand that, you must cater to that. So if you do that, you will be making the relationship proper. But if you have any attitude of taking from her, benefiting from her, then the relation becomes sour. So the relationship between husband and wife is service and sacrifice. You don't tell the person, you don't make it clear, but you want to know how best you can serve. Can I be of some service to you? That's your attitude. Can I be of some service? All the time thinking of serving the other person. The other way is, what can I get? She is a good cook, she is a good communicator, whatever it is. So you make use of her. That doesn't work. That has a shelf life and it ends up in separation. But if you have this attitude of same, so you are asking me, how is that I am living with the same person for 65 years? Not a day have I thought in terms of getting anything from her. Can I serve her? Can I be of interest, any form of interest to her? So I don't want anything. But if she can cook, well and good. If she doesn't cook, any activity for that matter is not self-centered. It's always unselfish. If you are unselfish, you cannot have the relationships going sour. Perfect relationship. But the problem is today, when a person is get married, even when a person is selecting a partner, he or she thinks, what best can I get out of him? Or he thinks selfishly, how will it benefit me? Such a marriage will not last. So it boils down to service and sacrifice. The moment you learn to serve the partner, you don't have to announce, you don't have to tell her anything, but your attitude is to help, to serve, to be of some use to her instead of making use of her or him. Is that clear?
Pranams Guruji, this is Shiv Prasad from Chennai. What is the law of karma? Would love to hear from you in this regard with a small example so that people can benefit from your advice. Pranams.
Karma means action. The action today, A meets B. He thinks of what can I get out of B. B meets A. He thinks of what can I get out of A. So if your attitude is to serve, to sacrifice, you're doing karma. The law of karma says, the moment you sacrifice, you're benefited. Everything will come to you. The moment you aggrandize, you want to make use of the other person, it fails. So, every aspect of life The moment you go out, step out, you're thinking of what can I earn, what can I get, how can I benefit of the environment, of the people, of everything. So you want to make sure that you are benefited in every way. That is being, in a layman's term, selfish. If you are unselfish and want to serve, sacrifice for others, then you are following the law of karma. The law of karma is the more you sacrifice, the more you get. And if you do anything selfish, it will hurt you. You will not get what you are aspiring for. So, one has to keep alert all the time. In all transactions of life, you are constantly contacting the world. At every facet of life, how can I be of some service? Can I help others? Nobody may need your help, but your attitude is to serve, to sacrifice. Never to benefit out of a situation, out of an environment, out of a person. So that attitude in acting is called the law of karma. The law of karma says, if you have an unselfish attitude, you will be rewarded. If you have a selfish attitude in any activity, you will be penalized. So, what is the law of karma? This is, karma means action. The law is, the more you think in terms of benefits, the more you lose. More you think in terms of serving, sacrificing, you are benefiting the world, benefiting yourself, benefiting the person. So, you get the idea, Shiv Prasad?
Guruji, it's been almost 13 plus years that I have met Sridharan and subsequently I met you, which has transformed my life forever. Sridhar's part 2 of life has begun after my introduction to Vedanta Academy. Similarly, how can we transform and motivate the employees of all our organizations and also our business partners organizations? Would like to hear from you.
See, the moment you act with a selfish motive, you can't achieve what you get, you cannot get the peace of mind. But moment you serve a cause, it's the same thing you're doing, but attitude is different. What can I do to my company? You could be the boss, number one, you could be an ordinary worker, but can I be of some service to the organization? It has an enormous benefit. But if you think in terms of how can I benefit, want to use them, you're being selfish, then you will have to pay the price for it. So, the same thing happens to all your employees, to all your colleagues. It is a universal law. You don't have to tell them anything. The way to communicate is to live it. If I'm running an organization here, as you know, is a spiritual organization. We all get up at 4 o'clock. Bell rings at 4 o'clock and we are up at 4. If I don't get up at 4 o'clock and ask all my students to get up, it will not work. But if I get up at 4 o'clock and not give sermons to them, it works. You see, all the lights are on early in the morning. I don't check. I don't want to check. If a person wants to sleep, it's his problem. So the way to go about it is to do your part and not expect anything. We expect all the time and don't do it at all. So if you have been following this, it will naturally transform your life, because all the time you have been working with a selfish motive. I don't know you, I'm not talking about you. Anybody who works with a selfish motive will be disturbed, will be unhappy, will be frustrated. But the moment you work for a cause, for a higher purpose, you will be satisfied, you will be successful, and things will go on well. So it's concentric circles, you know. Everybody in the world is working for himself, his family. He cannot think beyond his family. I'm not blaming him. I'm telling you the consequences. How is indirectly or directly you think of your wife and children, how it is going to benefit them. So as long as you think selfishly to benefit them, it will not help. But if you think in terms of serving the cause for the entire community or the whole country or whole humanity, the higher your stake, the higher the purpose, the greater is the achievement. So you have to extend your thinking to the highest. So you met me, now it's not the meeting that matters, but you're obviously following the principles that we are preaching. Not to be selfish, to be as unselfish as possible. It is not what you do in life that matters, but how you do it. See, here am I talking to the world about the highest principles. What is my intention in doing it? Is it to benefit myself? Is it to get a mileage? Is it to get name and fame? Or is it dedicated to serving the people who want to know these truths of life? Makes a difference. Similarly, it's not what you do, it's not teaching a philosophy. So whether you're doing business, are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for the people? If you are dedicated to the benefit of the people, you're doing a great job. You will be, that's what you mean by transformed. To an extent that you have done, it will transform you. So how do you motivate other organizations and business partners? Remember, if you want to benefit others, You lead the way. You don't point the way, you lead the way. And as I said, if I don't get up at 4 o'clock, I can't expect the students to get up at 4 o'clock. Whatever it is. If I don't practice what I preach, I will not. I cannot expect others to follow. Similarly, if you, as the boss, do it, and not give sermons to the people to follow you or follow the principles, automatically they will be benefited, they'll do it. But if you are doing it for yourself, not for the cause, then it's very limited. To the extent that you work for a cause, that will help. So, in short, what I'm saying is, you lead the way. You don't point the way. You see, if you had noticed, a bird, when it tries to teach the young ones to fly into the open, the young ones have got wings now, but it's terrified. It has not gone into the open. The mother bird sits with the food a little away from the nest, on the branch. The little one is terrified to go on the branch, walking. It hesitates and hesitates because of extreme hunger. It plunges, goes towards the mother, plucks the fruit and comes back. This, the mother bird does it again and again, till the little bird gets the satisfaction, the courage and encouragement. Now the mother bird sits in the neighboring branch. That means that the bird, little one, has to fly to the mother to get the food. Very neighboring, is not far away. And the bird will rather suffer but not go out. But a time comes when the hunger dominates and the little bird goes out desperately, picks up the food, rushes back to the nest. This is how the mother bird teaches the little bird to fly. But if you were sitting in the nest and said, go and fly, it will not fly. So therefore, what we learn is, we must lead the way. If you want your employees to act in a particular way, if you want your business partners to act in a particular way, you lead the way. And not give any sermons, not give any lectures to them. It's not necessary. Just lead the way. And if you keep on doing it, a question of time, they will follow. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, the 3rd chapter, he says, you got to lead the way. There is no way of telling a person. So unless you show the way, you show the way, you tread that path and let the others follow. But if you were to point out and say this is how it should be done, it will not work. But most people who are advising are pointing out. They don't lead the way. Are they doing the same thing as they want others to do? Am I doing the same thing? If I don't indulge in this philosophy and expect my students to all study philosophy, it will not work. So therefore, your change in personality is not because of Sridharan or me. It is because you have been practicing this, studying this. I would like you all to study this, continue to study. Now, of late, I don't know how far back, they have introduced this same thing that I am teaching here at the academy. In the past, if you want to join the academy, I am teaching all the philosophy. The Gita, the Upanishads and the Vedantic texts, it takes 3 years. Very carefully moduled. If I were to ask you to join, first I'll ask you, how old are you? If you're not less than 20 or around 20, you're out. So, majority of people who wanted to learn this philosophy are denied this great knowledge. I realized that because I studied, I prepared the books, I started an ashram and invited people, they came and taught. But numbers are practically nothing. 30, 40 people benefit at a time in a year. We are talking about millions and millions of people are interested. Whom am I serving? So therefore, some ingenious people here started recording the thing, just as this is being recorded. I mean, in the television, they recorded and prepared what is known as the lesson course. The whole education that I am giving here is now available in the lesson course. All the lessons that I have taken are not denied to anybody. There are old people, past 65, very, very interested, but they have no place here. I can't put them with the youngsters. So they have an opportunity to study at home. So have you the opportunity to study at home. I don't know what you're studying. It will not help you once a week or once in a way you study. And even if you study every day, it has to be a structured course. When you do medicine, it's a structured course. When you do law, it's a structured course. Any subject that you do, it has to be structured. So you can't pick up a book in the railway station and start reading and claim that you have read philosophy. This is not the way to do it. So the structure has been made, it has been well programmed, and the literature is available, and that we have now given to the public as the lesson course. It is the same knowledge that I am imparting in the ashram. Ashram takes 3 years, that also takes 3 years. But you are taught. So unless you learn it in a structured way, merely benefiting a little bit here and say, I am transformed, should not satisfy you. That's just a contentment which you are rightly having because you have led a life, different life, obviously. It will not. If I were to lecture to you once a week or even every day, it will not help you. You have to go through a structured course, and that's the lesson course. So you take it up, every morning 1 hour you have to spend on it. Say, I would recommend 5 to 6. If you can't, little later, doesn't matter. And that will really make a mark on you. So, it has transformed my life. Don't be satisfied with that. So you transformed my life. What do you mean by transformed your life? So, it transformed means you had certain challenges which was upsetting you. Now they don't, same challenges are there, but you understand it differently. You are able to put up with all this. So, that's what you mean by saying, I am transformed. But if a greater challenge comes, how would you react? So, if, God forbid, there's a death, there is a change in personality, and also, I don't want to go to details, you know what I mean, a complete breakdown of finance, and still you say, I don't really care. That should be your stance. A time would come, if you study the scriptures properly, which is now presented to you in the form of lesson course. If you inquire the authorities here, I don't know how, where to apply and all. I think it's, you can type it out in your iPad or something, and you get it. You can inquire. And once you do that, and attend the lectures and all that, lectures are only helping you. I mean, somebody may lecture once a week or twice a week. It will help you to introduce the subject, but the subject has to be gone through. You heard enough, I think. I would like to hear from you. You heard enough. Now, next question.
Namaste Swamiji. My name is Vamsi Madhipatla. In your teachings, you have emphasized developing the human intellect. Why is this important to develop one's intellect, and how should you go about it? Would be great to hear your views on this topic.
See, Vamsi, there are 4 types. The plant, in effect, we could boil down to 3 living creatures: plant, animal, and human. You understand that? Plant, animal, and human. A plant has only a body. An animal has a body and a mind, but it has no intellect. Only a human being has all 3, provided all 3, a physical body, a mind, and intellect. Your question is, why is it important to develop one's intellect? You are what you are because of your intellect. If you have no intellect, you will be a victim of other forces. Do you realize that these bisons, the buffaloes in the animal planet, hundreds of them being chased by one leopard, one tiger. If the buffaloes were thinking, have a concerted effort, turn round, the tiger will flee. But they don't know how to do that. The buffaloes do not have an intellect to get together. So therefore, a human being alone is provided. An animal is helpless. A human being is provided with an intellect to face any one of these challenges. A physical body transacts with the world. A mind is the feelings with which you transact. You transact with your family differently from how you would meet a stranger, because your mind interprets the family differently. But when you level of the intellect, when you are operating at the level of the intellect, you are using the highest equipment that you have. Animals have no intellect. They have a body and a mind, but no intellect. Only a human being has an intellect. And if it doesn't function without the intellect, we come to the position that we are now. See, at the moment, we are bothered about, rightly, about this COVID. It's troubling us. Constantly their nature provides these attacks. Why is it? Nobody in the world today uses the intellect. Therefore, if you claim that you are peaceful and happy, I salute you. You are among the very, very few people who use your intellect. So unless you use your intellect, you cannot be perfect. An animal has only a mind, it has no intellect. When it comes to a human being, it has all three: body, mind, intellect. You've got to use it. Without the use of the intellect, we are where we are. Today, the intellect is not known. I'm glad you are asking this question. Emphasize the developing of the intellect. You are the only person I must appreciate. Throughout this discussion, nobody has asked about the intellect. I would like all the 10 questions asking about the intellect. What is this intellect we are talking about? Nobody asks. Nobody knows. What is the problem in the world today? Vamsi, I'm asking you, what is the problem in the world? Lack of development of the intellect. Nobody bothers about. You will make sure that your children reach the best school, best education, best everything. But if you, as a father, as a parent, insist on developing the intellect, you are extraordinary. And once the intellect is developed, you can take care of yourself. One person, a human being, is able to tackle a mass of living creatures. They're controlling hundreds of animals. How is that possible? Because they have an intellect. Animals have no intellect. If they were to charge against a human being, it's finished. So, it's very important to be first aware of the fact that you have an intellect. Nobody is aware except you are asking. I'm glad you are asking. Nobody is aware that there is an intellect to be developed. So the intellect remains fallow throughout the world. What is the problem today, or for that matter any day? It's a lack of development of the intellect. Why are divorces taking place? Lack of development of the intellect. Why are employees being ill-treated? Lack of development of the intellect. See, anything you have, why are children going astray? Lack of development of the intellect. You can do whatever you want to the children, but they will behave according to their intellect. And intellect you have not bothered to develop, their intellect or your intellect. So, it is the most important aspect of life to develop the intellect. Once the intellect is developed, everything is taken care of. You don't have an intellect. Sir, what is the intellect? You offer a sweet to a diabetic person. He loves sweet. He likes sweet. What will he do? He grabs it. He takes the sweet, as a result of which he has to suffer. I know a person in Delhi who would secretly eat sweets. He was highly diabetic. His family kept him away from sweets. He used to buy sweets separately and privately eat in his house. So what had happened is, the fellow used to buy a box of sweets and eat alone. The story is that he died. It's not one day, every day he is doing this, and he's highly diabetic. You succumb to it. So the intellect is not functioning at all. There is one person in Bombay. The child was bitten by a mad dog. True story. Child was bitten by a mad dog. They fortunately brought the doctors. The doctors brought the injection and said, it's proved that the dog is mad. The child has to take that injection. He said, the father was neutral, mother was screaming and shouting because the child was badly bitten and she was crying, and the mother was crying and said, nobody will touch my daughter. She is not taking any injection. She had enough of pain and you are giving more. And she wouldn't allow the doctors to give them injection. The result would be sure death. It's a mad dog. You tell any amount to the mother, it's acting on the mind and emotions. It is not zero intellect. I happened to be there. I asked those people to take the mother away, pushed the mother away, gave a slap to the child and said, you better take the injection. Pushed it. She's all right now. This is a woman who got children. So, you got to use the intellect. If your intellect is not developed or not used, you would be in a bad situation. It's fatal. could be fatal. So at every step of your life, you have to use the intellect. Only a human being is provided with an intellect. No other creature. An animal has no intellect. A plant has only a body, not even a mind. Animal has a mind, but not an intellect. So, if you are smart, you will develop the intellect, you will allow the children to develop the intellect. Schools and universities provide intelligence, which is necessary to make a living. But intelligence is not intellect. So you got to encourage the children to develop the intellect along with the development of their intelligence. Okay. Why is it important to develop one's intellect? How should you go about it? What will develop the intellect is the lesson course which we have provided. The Vedantic course is now available in video. You can apply for it if you have not done it already. And you can't do better than that. If you have done that, you can promote your children after 15, 16, they can do it. Then the intellect is developed. Once the intellect develops, you are safe. Next.
Namaskaram Swamiji, my name is Vidya Vinod. My question to you is, what is the purpose of education and how can we improve the current system of education? Thank you.
Education is of two types. One gives the intelligence. The other is to develop the intellect. So both has to be attended to. Intelligence is what you use in the world to make a living. You need intelligence. And you provide the intelligence by schools and universities. That is education. But the current system, or for that matter, any time in the past, there is no attempt to develop the intellect. And without the development of the intellect, you will be what you are. You will have everything but disturbed. You will have a beautiful marriage but not happy. You will have beautiful children but they go astray. You have everything, you have all the money in the world but you will be frustrated. So, it is the intellect that gives you that solace. So, all the schools and universities provide intelligence, which can give you a job, which can give you a footing in life. It is necessary. But without the intellect, any amount of intelligence won't do. So with the intelligence, you have to have an intellect to employ it in life. So education today provides no doubt intelligence, which is knowledge necessary to get a job, to settle down. But it will not give you peace of mind. It will not give you how to handle your partner. It will not give you how to direct your children. It will not give you solace in life. It will give you physical comforts. That's about all. Intelligence. And your attempt is you send your children to the best universities in the world only to develop the intelligence. There is no attempt at all by you or your children to develop the intellect. The purpose of education is to develop the intellect.
Pranam Swamiji. Question is, what causes stress? Why do some people cope with stress better than others? And how can we live an active life and have less stress? Thank you.
Stress is nothing but mental agitations caused by unfulfilled desires. Please understand that. Stress is mental agitations caused by unfulfilled desires. If you have unfulfilled desires, you will be stressed. Your mind is agitated, and that's called stress. You have numerous unfulfilled desires. It may be innocuous. You may think it's innocuous. You want the wife to behave in a particular way. You want the children to study properly. You want the business to grow. You want the government to support you in every way. And endless desires. And all are not fulfilled. You would like to be optimum, but that is not true. So what causes stress is unfulfilled desires. And desires are plenty. You don't understand that the moment you fulfill one desire, many others crop up. You are unaware of that. A lady went to she saw an advertisement in the papers about a sari, new type of sari. And these fellows did a magnificent job, these shopkeepers. And she went to buy that sari. And the manager has told the fellows who attend on them not to straight away show the saris, but introduce other things. So they showed everything except that sari. Say, look at this, look at that, look at that. Do you want this? This morning I read in the papers that you advertise a sari. I want to buy that sari. So they show the lady everything, and she gets fed up, is about to leave. At that time she says, okay, is this the sari that meant? Yes, this is the sari that you have advertised. Why do you show me all others? She bought the sari, but went back wanting to buy 3 more. So you not only the moment you fulfill your desires, you develop further desires. Stress is nothing but unfulfilled desires. And you are the cause of it. You want further desires, more and more desires crop up because you are not careful with your intellect to fulfill a desire and not be a victim to other desires. So why do some people cope with stress better than others? Because they have an intellect which you don't. If you do not have intellect, you will find it difficult to control stress. You have a body, you have a mind, you have an intellect. Your body is controlled by the mind, your mind is controlled by the intellect. Mind is that which is victimized by stress. And if you don't have a strong intellect, you are a victim of stress. So your bet is to develop the intellect. I have suggested the course. I think you have taken the course. You take the course, you pay, because that's the easiest thing to do. Pay and quieten the fellows. And whether you're sitting up every morning, I would recommend 5 to 6 you read every day. You may not know what effect it brings about. You will cope up with stress only when you have intellect. If you don't have intellect, you will be a victim of your mind. How can you live an active life and have less stress? Unless you have a powerful intellect, you cannot live without stress. So therefore, the bottom line, the key point here is development of intellect. You do whatever you like. You do business in India or Dubai, it doesn't matter. But as long as your intellect is sharp, it can take care of any stress, anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Swamiji, for addressing us today. Here are a few avenues to develop your intellect. The first is the 3-year structured course on intellectual development at the Vedanta Academy for students between the ages of 18 and 30. Recordings of the course classes, which Swamiji referred to as the lesson course, are available online as the following e-learning programs. For further details, you could visit elearning.vedantaworld.org. Over 60 years, Swamiji has written 12 books that provide a comprehensive manual for life. The 4 books recommended to start with are, in order, The Fall of the Human Intellect, Governing Business and Relationships, The Holocaust of Attachment, and Vedanta Treatise, The Eternities. In Dubai, regular weekly classes based on the books are facilitated by alumni of the Vedanta Academy. There is also the Vedanta World app, which you can download from your phone's app store. Access all of Swamiji's audiobooks and select public lectures. Swamiji's next event is on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of June. Here is a short video on the first ever online worldwide weekend with Swamiji.
When you hit the pillow, you must fall off to sleep in 20 seconds. Otherwise, something wrong with you. So that's where I come in.
The whole America, they have what is known as Thank God It's Friday. I'm teaching in a university college here for students. Thank God it's Monday. Nobody has really understood the importance of learning how to live our life. I want to pass this great message to people who are unnecessarily suffering from stress and strain. You must learn the art of finding peace and happiness within you. How to combine dynamic action with perfect mental peace. That's what Vedanta is all about.
Achieve a clearer vision of your personality and purpose in life. Join us for 3 inspiring sessions as Swamiji shares a message for your personal evolution and answers questions from around the world on themes such as compassion, marriage, karma, reality, and enlightenment. Experience the first ever online weekend with the philosopher of our times, Swamiji. Thank you for joining us.